Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fluent English Podcast, where we learn and practice English together.
Today, we're getting really specific. We're looking at a communication strategy,
Yeah.
digging into this highly detailed learning plan we've got here.
Yeah, it's essentially an instructional blueprint, isn't it?
Exactly, like a script for teaching English learners, specifically B1, B2 level, how to handle, well, job interviews, the whole high-stakes situation.
Right. In B1, B2, just for context, that's that intermediate level. You can talk, you can function, but, super complex sentences or obscure slang, probably not yet.
Definitely not. So these learners, they need something practical, fast. Our mission today is really a shortcut when you say understanding the precise foundation they need and, crucially, why this particular design works.
Absolutely. And what jumps out immediately is that this whole design, it really prioritizes clarity and confidence more than anything else. The whole strategy seems built on the idea that, look, for a B1, B2 learner heading into an interview, anxiety is just, it kills fluency.
Yeah, completely.
So the approach has got to be friendly, supportive, motivating. Like a helpful guide, not some scary teacher dumping tons of info.
Avoid the info dump. That makes sense. And that focus, it seems to dictate the whole structure, especially this first big constraint, time.
Oh, definitely.
The blueprint is super strict here. The entire lesson, the whole prep experience has to be short, like really short, aiming for about 10 to 12 minutes total.
Yeah, and that's not arbitrary. It's about cognitive load. Think about it. You're prepping for an interview. You're already stressed.
Right. Your brain's full.
Exactly. You don't have the mental space for a 45-minute deep dive into grammar nuances. That 10 to 12-minute window respects that, respects their limited time, and aims for maximum retention of just the core stuff, the functional answers.
Okay, I see the logic. But wow, that's tight. So if the whole thing is only 10, 12 minutes, the introduction part itself, it says here like 1 to 2 minutes max.
Yep. Just enough time to say, hello, here's the topic, and crucially, why this matters.
It has to justify itself immediately then. No warm-up waffle.
No time for waffle.
Right.
It has to instantly connect. Learning these answers to their goal, getting that job, promise practical value right out of the gate.
Okay. So value proposition locked in. Then we jump straight into the main content. This is the bulk of it, right? About 6 to 8 minutes allocated here.
The core stuff.
And this is where that selective approach really kicks in. If we only have, say, 6 or 7 minutes for the actual interview answers, what are the absolute must-haves, the non-negotiables, according to this blueprint?
It focuses entirely on predictability, which makes sense. It mandates just four very common questions, the ones that crop up in almost every interview, especially entry or mid-level.
Okay, what are they?
Well, you've got the classic opener, tell me about yourself.
Of course.
And the self-assessment ones, what are your strengths? The slightly trickier one, what are your weaknesses?
Ah, yes, the dreaded weakness question.
Yeah. And finally, the motivation check. Why do you want this job? Just those four.
Foundational, definitely, but only 4. What about things like, salary expectations? Or where do you see yourself in 5 years? Isn't there a risk of missing key parts by being so focused?
That's a fair question, but it ties back to that B1, B2 level focus, those 4 questions. They're mainly conversational icebreakers. They set the initial tone, talking about salary or long-term career strategy. That often needs more abstract words, maybe complex conditional sentences. If I were to get this role, then I would hope. That kind of
Right, stuff that could trip up a B1, B2 speaker under pressure.
Precisely. It pushes the boundary, might cause them to stumble. By sticking to the core 4, the idea is to guarantee they start strong and finish strong, using simple, effective English they're comfortable with.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense strategically. So let's talk about the language itself for these answers, because the blueprint is really rigid here. Simple English.
Yeah.
B1, B2 level, strictly avoid tricky grammar, avoid idioms.
Yep. Clarity over complexity.
So what does that actually look like? For, say, tell me about yourself. How simple are we talking?
We're talking short, direct sentences. Forget things like, my professional trajectory has been oriented towards.
Yeah, please.
No, none of that. It's more like, I am a reliable person. Full stop. I have worked in customer service for 3 years. Full stop. I enjoy helping people. I learn new skills quickly. See? Simple subject, verb, object. Common words.
Very clear. Simple, direct, actionable. Uses active verbs, common nouns, easy to understand, easy to say.
Exactly. And critically, The blueprint says you must pair these model answers with short explanations, little tips about useful vocabulary or phrases within the answers.
Ah, so not just the script, but the tools in the script.
Right. So if the answer uses "I enjoy helping people," the explanation should point out, "Hey, I enjoy doing X." That's a useful, simple pattern you can adapt. Learn the structure, not just memorize the line.
That makes it more flexible. Okay, so how does this simple approach handle the tough ones? Like, what are your weaknesses? That feels like a minefield for a B1, B2 speaker. Easy to say the wrong thing or get tangled up trying to explain.
It is tricky. But the goal isn't a deep psychological confession. It's about showing self-awareness, simply.
Yeah.
So the blueprint solution is state a simple, relatively minor weakness, but immediately, and this is key, immediately follow it with a simple action you're taking to improve.
Okay, example.
Like, sometimes I focus too much on small details. That's the weakness part. Simple. Then the fix. I am using an online planner now to manage my time better.
Ah, I see. Simple problem, simple solution, all using basic B1, B2 words.
Exactly. It ticks the self-awareness box for the employer, and just as importantly, it gives the learner a safe, manageable structure. It builds their confidence.
That focus on confidence building seems central. But, interviews aren't just about the words you say, are they? What about everything else, the nonverbal stuff?
Oh, absolutely crucial. And the blueprint specifically calls this out. It says you have to include guidance on body language and tone.
Right. Because you could have the perfect simple sentence, but if you mumble it at your shoes...
It doesn't land.
Yeah.
Especially in potentially cross-cultural interviews, which many of these might be. Nonverbals can speak volumes, sometimes more than the words at this level.
So what specifics does the blueprint say need covering? What's the actual advice?
It needs to be really practical, stuff they can actually do. So things like posture, sit up straight, don't slouch, simple. Eye contact, look at the interviewer. Maybe their eyes, maybe their forehead. If eyes feel too intense, show you're engaged.
Okay.
And maybe the most important, vocal tone. Speak slowly. Speak clearly. The advice stresses that a confident voice is a clear voice, even if you have an accent. Own the accent, but make sure you're understood.
Slow and clear. That's good advice for anyone in an interview, really.
And it adds one more thing, smile. Especially when talking about why you want the job. Connect that positive feeling to the positive answer.
I like how actionable that is. Sit straight, look up, speak clearly, smile. It makes sense that for a B1, B2 speaker, good delivery of simple language beats complex language delivered poorly.
Absolutely. It's a huge compensator. If your vocabulary range is limited, your clarity, your tone, your overall confident presence, those become your superpowers.
Okay. So the learner has the simple answers. They've got the tips on delivery. How does the structure make sure they can actually use this stuff, that it sticks?
That's the practice section. Comes right after the main content. The blueprint insists on this.
Yeah.
About 2 to 3 minutes dedicated purely to practice.
Mandatory practice. Okay, what does that involve?
2 key steps. First, the listener, you listening now, you actually repeat the model answers out loud.
Say the words.
Yeah. Builds muscle memory. Gets you used to hearing your own voice saying these professional phrases, especially under a bit of pressure, even if it's just practice pressure.
Makes sense. And the second step?
That moves beyond just repeating. It's personalization. You take the model answer, the simple framework like, I am reliable and I work hard, and you try adapting it. You slot in your own details.
So like, I am reliable because in my last role, I always completed my reports on time. Something like that.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
That's how it goes from being generic advice to your actual interview answer.
Yeah.
It bridges that gap between just knowing the words and actually owning them.
That cycle seems really efficient. You get the core questions, you get simple models, you get delivery tips, and then you immediately practice and personalize, all in that short time frame.
It's a tight, closed learning loop designed for impact with limited time and, let's face it, limited cognitive bandwidth when you're stressed about an interview.
Right. Which brings us to the very end, the conclusion. Just 1 minute left, according to the plan.
Yeah, the wrap-up. It's less about new info, more about reinforcing things.
So the blueprint says, quick summary of the key points.
Check.
Encourage more practice.
Definitely.
And importantly, close warmly.
Yes, and that warm close ties back to the whole supportive tone. The blueprint specifically stresses you have to tell learners, don't worry about mistakes.
Permission to be imperfect.
Crucial. It counters the anxiety, sends them off feeling capable, prepared, not terrified of saying the wrong verb tense. Reinforces that friendly, guiding approach from the start.
So the whole structure hangs together really well. It's incredibly efficient, isn't it? 10, 12 minutes max. Laser focus on those 4 key questions. Strict B1, B2, simplicity in the language. practical body language tips, and that essential practice section.
Leaves the learner feeling equipped, not overloaded, which is the goal.
It really understands the psychology of the B1, B2 learner facing an interview.
It does. And, given this huge emphasis, the blueprint places on avoiding complex grammar, avoiding idioms, focusing purely on simple, clear language. It leaves us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. If an employer knows you're operating at a B1, B2 English level, how much impact does that clear, confident delivery, the body language, the tone we talked about, actually have compared to trying to use more complex vocabulary that maybe doesn't quite land right?
Clarity and confidence versus maybe flawed complexity.
Which one do you think really makes a better impression in that specific situation? Something to think about as you practice.
Practice that simplicity, project that confidence, and yeah, try not to worry too much about the odd mistake. Great stuff. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.